How all this started was I've always been amazed with animals, more particularly wild animals. And I guess I was probably around the age of, I would say 8 years old. And I had this fascination with dogs.
Joseph Piner raised captive wolves. He obtained his first wolf back in 1982. This wolf was brought to the United States through Canada. Wolves are the ancestors of our domestic dogs. In some breeds such as Huskies, the similarities are very clear to see. In contrast to wolf-like domestic dogs, wolves have a longer body, with their legs being longer than domestic dogs. Wolves can obtain a body length of 4 to 6 feet, and a shoulder height of 32 to 38 inches, although females are generally smaller and lighter than their male counterparts.
Well, when I first came in contact with the wolves, I believe it was around 1981, 82, through Joseph Piner, Angelo, if you will. He had me feed them, help him, go to the crates and the areas where they were kept, and bottle fed them, the pups, just did everything I could to help out. And it was a great experience, I have to say, a wonderful experience.
Stephanie became very attached to the wolves. While she was caring for the wolves, she would take time out to play a game with the black wolf named Lobo. Lobo enjoyed running under her legs. All of this interacting with the wolves helped the wolves establish a bond with Stephanie. The gray wolf is a little shy and is uncertain if it is okay to join in on the games that Stephanie and Lobo play. Depending on the time of year as well as the wolf's habitat, the composition of its food varies considerably. In winter, large mammals form its main prey. For example, moose and deer. The wolf hunts mainly older, sick or young animals, as these make for easy prey. In doing so, the wolf is playing an important role in the ecosystem, for example, by keeping populations of hoofed animals in check. In summer, smaller mammals, birds, fish and even fruit also form part of the animal's diet when near human settlements. Wolves can also prey on sheep and young cattle, and livestock. Guardian dogs can help to combat this when prey is scarce. Yellowstone National Park is a place of natural beauty, with its beautiful hot springs, long winding rivers, and most of all, their famous geysers. These cowboys get ready to hike in the backcountry on their mules. Yellowstone is well known for its population of wolves. The wolves were released into the park back in 1995 as part of the Wolf Reintroduction Program. It is not uncommon for grizzly bears and wolves to come into contact with each other. Two wolves are not a match for a large grizzly bear. But when the entire pack unites, the tables can turn in the wolf's favor. These two wolves circle the bear. They will have no luck in getting back their kill. Both predators are at the top of the food chain, and when wolves make a kill, large bears can take over the carcass. This single wolf is hunting a single cow elk. This is in the northeast corner of Yellowstone. You can see that the wolf has already made contact with the elk. The elk is wounded on the right side of its leg. Wolves can reach speeds of 35 miles per hour, but the elk have already figured out that wolves are not the best swimmers. Many times elk will seek refuge in rivers and lakes.
Well, the collaring is kind of our most important event every year. All our studies are based upon having marked wolves. So our objective in the park is to keep collars in each pack.
Well, we'll go look and see what we got, and then we'll keep going.
Doug Smith, the senior wolf biologist at Yellowstone National Park, preps his team to go search and collar the wolves. The sharpshooter prepares the rifle and dart filled with tranquilizer. Not only does this help the scientist catch the wolf, it also puts less stress on the wolves. Special care is taken to ensure that the wolf is okay. There are scientists on hand as well as a medical wolf advisor.
Yeah, I'll get it in a second.
While the wolf is sedated, the team collects vital information about the wolf. Its weight and blood samples are taken. This provides information on the health of Yellowstone wolves.
Yeah, stick that somewhere, I guess.
Joseph is outside of Yellowstone National Park. Sometimes the wolves leave and venture outside of the park. Joseph has his camera gear in hand, hoping to film the wild wolves in their natural habitat. If Joseph is successful in filming the wolves, he can incorporate the wolf footage into his wolf educational program back home in the East.
You know, back in the day, we started out with these little cameras, VHS tapes, cameras that we just, you know, that was the style back then. And then we eventually advanced to amazing cameras, and we, you know, videoed them, and Joe studied them, and even went out to Yellowstone to video them. And he would you know, constantly video them and watch it, and we'd watch it. And our kids got to watch it. It was great.
After I established getting about I'd say about 6 wolves, I grabbed a VHS camera. Back then we had the big VHS video cameras, and we're probably talking around about 1980, 81 maybe. But anyway, I started videoing the wolves that I did have. And all I would do is just set the camera up on a tripod and move it around as the wolves would run around in their little cages. At that time, they were very small cages. But we would put, roadkill deer in there, and you could actually see the dynamics of the wolf pack. You could actually see how there is a hierarchy. And I just started videoing them and stacking VHS players together, and then I started editing the videos. I'd put a blank VHS in the VHS player, and then I will put the actual VHS tape in there and push play and hit record. That way I was recording what I filmed on the cameras. I never even dreamed of doing something like this, but this became a huge success with schools. And next thing you know, colleges and universities jumped in on it and started asking to present these wildlife programs.
Not only did Joseph take the wolves into school and other places of learning, schools would often visit the wolf facility. Here Joseph explains the use of telemetry and what it is used for out in the wild where wolves naturally inhabit. Young students get to make cast moldings of the wolf's footprint. Some students are really happy to get their picture taken with the wolves in their classroom.
At that point, I knew that this was my calling, to actually teach about these wild animals and let people learn and see these animals up close.
With the wolf educational program taking off, Joseph started studying and researching the captive wolves. He took measurements of the dens that the wolves would dig, including filming inside of the den once the female wolf gave birth. The wolf pups are about 3 weeks old. Even though their eyes are not fully open, they seemed to sense something while Joseph was filming inside the den. The adult wolves were put in a holding pen during the filming. This protected Joseph and the wolves. Pups are born in early spring and are cared for by the entire pack. They depend on their mother's milk for the first month, and then they are gradually weaned and fed regurgitated meat by other pack members. By 7 to 8 months of age, when almost fully grown, the pups begin traveling with the adults. All the wolves in the pack help raise the pups, much like our own human families. When the pups are very small, other pack members bring food to the mother so she does not have to leave the den. When the pups are a little larger, pack members take turns bringing them food, playing with them, and even babysitting. Joseph and Joseph Jr. play with Wolf Lobo. Many times they would encourage the wolf to howl. While most kids are outside playing, Joseph Piner Jr. helps his father care for the wolves. Joseph Jr. grew up around these wolves, but he is not allowed to enter the wolf enclosures until he is a teenager, almost adult size.
Get them out the hole so I can, and make them go in another one way up there. Never mind.
I was about 7 years old when I got acclimated with the wolves, and they were at my grandmom's at the time. And being there was cool because, I was able to see them and how they worked, and my dad would take me and, show me how the wolves are, and he'd say, hey, you get to do the water today, or you get to do the food today. And I'm like, all right, cool. So, you know, he had really cool, intricate parts to like the perimeters and the enclosures and, you know, where he would have like a slide and that would go for the food and it would slide down. And then, you know, he had another part for the water. So it made it really easy for us to actually go ahead and, you know, feed them and water them. What kind of made it really interesting and fun too is some of the schools and other events that we would go to. With schools, like we would go and my dad would bring me along with him, and it'd just be really cool to see the kids excited just as I was. But on top of that, we have my father. He's a black man. He's probably one of the only black men in the country doing this at the time. So you got to figure, that's going to bring a lot of national attention. I mean, TV, news, magazines, you know, the works, and we had a sense of pride about that.
In the News Center 10, look at news around the world.
A sad homecoming. She was first freed on Tuesday after vandals cut wires from the fence of her pen. We'll tell you what happened, and we'll talk with the owner tonight.
Baby wolf Bobo cries out to his missing companion Bubba Sue from his pen in Angelo Piner's backyard. Bubba Sue is just around the front, but she can't hear him. She was hit and killed by a car just over the Maryland line.
Bubba Sue was one of my favorite wolves. She was very important to me. I'm going to miss her.
Bubba Sue was one of Piner's 4 wolves set free after vandals cut through 2 wire fences Tuesday morning. Piner captured 3 almost immediately, but Bubba Sue took off to the woods near his house. Angelo Piner plans to make Bubba Sue's final resting place somewhere here on his property. Meanwhile, county police are searching for the vandals who turned a man's 4-legged friend into a community concern and a broken heart. In Glasgow, Victoria Lim, Channel 2, First 8 News.
Been recaptured, one still on the loose. The Piners say someone cut through the fence to get to the animals. They say it's not dangerous, but kids should be careful.
Bubba Sue was one of 4 wolves that escaped after someone cut a hole in the fence in Angelo Piner's backyard. The other 3 wolves were captured. Piner, who has a license for the rare wolves, says he plans to take extra precautions to keep the animals on his property.
With all the negatives surrounding the wolves, the major headline in the news was finding a new home for the wolves. Joseph's wolf facility was in every major and local newspaper, plus magazines in many states. With all the news broadcast and newspaper articles, Joseph's wolf facility was catching the eye of national TV broadcast, which helped him to present his wolves on national TV shows. With all this bad attention that was surrounding the wolf facility, Joseph was becoming very worried about the fate of his wolves.
Honestly, I felt some kind of way when the fence was cut out back and the wolves escaped, and then we lost a beautiful Arctic wolf, Bubba Sue. She was all white, the joy of our eyes, and we just loved her. It was very, very heartbreaking that someone would cut our fences and do that, and then actually endanger people because they are wild animals.
So now that the county council has said they have to get out of there, what are you going to do?
Well, I don't exactly plan on just getting rid of them like that. However, I would like to work something out. I mean, this has been a debate now for over two years, and it just seems to be going on and on and on. Hopefully, we can come to some type of conclusion on this and get it settled. It's wasting a lot of time. And
please don't be offended when I ask you this, but wolves, I don't get it. This seems to me to be a very violent animal, a frightening animal to me personally. And in the photos in the paper, you're very cuddly with them. It scares me just to even see the picture.
Okay, well, I'd have to ask you, why are you frightened? I mean, why do you feel this way? Because wolves are not considered aggressive animals, first of all. It's what we hear about and what we see. on TV. Maybe we can get together, the state, the county, or just some private individual that could donate some land, and we could do this on a much larger scale, and everyone will be happy. The wolves will be somewhere where they're not near homes.
Thank you very much for taking the opportunity to say it here with us. I have to thank you. I have a better understanding of the situation now and hopefully less fear of the animal.
Okay, thank you.
We'll take a look at Art and Ideas. Audrey Fultz is up next.
Joseph has relocated his wolves to another location. This was made possible by Diane Taylor, who has 63 acres of land in Middletown, Delaware. Diane donated the use of her land to house the wolves, and allowing Joseph to continue his wolf educational program.
Let's get this off the table.
All right, now we're going to talk about black bears. Now, are they endangered, Jim?
Joseph and his wolves make a guest appearance on the Today's Show, appearing with Matt Lauer and Jim Fowler.
Jim, good to see you.
Right, good to see you. You know, this has revolutionized the gathering of information. It's made a big difference in helping to save animals. That's the reason for the modern technology.
We also have some wolf cubs, is that correct?
Well, you know, the wolves in Yellowstone, let's put these right down here. Sorry, Angelo. And Angelo Piner. Angelo, can you go put the rest of them in here so we can
I'll get out of your way.
Yeah. You know, the wolves, hand us some of that ham over here. They like ham.
They don't like apples.
No, they're not going to eat apples, but hand us some of the ham over here. Put it right out in the middle. There you go. See if you can get the sense. Now, there's a great success story in Yellowstone National Park. We introduced wolves to the wild. Many of them are radio collared, and it's been very successful. Now, these little ones are very competitive, you'll see. They, anything that smells like meat, their survival is based on competition.
Based on the radio collars, what have you learned about the kind of family instincts of these animals? They travel in families or packs, don't they?
That's right, and you can determine when they're resting. You can determine if one collar drops off, you can determine that. But these are very pack-oriented, very social. There are leaders, of course. Often the females are the leaders. We're learning all of that through the use of amazing radio telemetry. And Fish and Wildlife Service, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, has done a great job in monitoring all this and getting these back in the wild.
Wolves occupy territories and will defend their territory against other trespassing wolves or other canids. Their defense requires no more than intimidating an outsider with growling and baring of teeth. At times a chase will take place, but in extreme situations, the chase may result in a physical confrontation. These are captive wolves, and do not have large territories like the wolves in the wild. Joseph has gotten bad news. Because of territory boundaries, one of the wolves was killed by other pack members. Joseph enters the enclosure to inspect the dead wolf. Joseph cautionally keeps an eye out for the other pack members as they are still hyped up from the killing. The wolf casually walks the fence line for a closer look. Two of the wolf volunteers retrieves the dead wolf from its enclosure and prepares the wolf to be buried. All injuries and deaths must be reported to the USDA because this wolf facility is federally licensed.
We can see here clearly where Lola grabbed her throat and that's where the killing was done. Basically, this was a dominant situation where one of the lower-ranking females moved up in rank, and because of the captive situation, this is the outcome. Out in the wild, this wolf will simply have left the pack maybe and started her own pack somewhere else. But because she was in captivity, she had nowhere to run, and as a result, she was killed.